They got drunk one night on red wine and decided to start Chef Med New Zealand. We sold our house, we sold everything, and we lived in disgusting rental that you can imagine. We started with a computer in the dining room and dial-up internet.
Samantha Nicholls, the director of Chef Med New Zealand, a specialist surgical and medical supplies company serving every hospital in New Zealand, founded as a family-run business 25 years ago by her father, Perry Nicholls. It has become a multi-million-dollar family business, winning high-profile supply contracts with Pharmac, the agency that decides which medicines and treatments are funded for New Zealanders. How did it start? How did your father have the idea? How did you guys grow into Chef Med? You didn't have any investors at the start?
We sold our family home and we moved.
What is it, do you think, really made you guys stand out, that made you last that long?
This isn't just a job. This is my career. This is my life. Sometimes you forget that your family, put your business hat on, and you do have to put egos aside and step outside your comfort zone. Our biggest point of difference is I had meningococcal septicemia C and I was in intensive care and I was dying. It was actually my mum that saved my life. It was just sheer strength and willpower and perseverance.
What's the real why behind this project and this business?
The big reason why is us as family.
Quick one, Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. Welcome to the podcast, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How do you build such an amazing family-owned business? Mm-hmm. Over 25 years, and you go from strength to strength despite the competition in a niche like you guys, mm-hmm. that is constantly being challenged by all sorts of things going on. How did you do it?
Well, as much as I'd love to take the credit for it, it was my parents. So mum and dad started the business 25 years ago, 25 years this year. I was 12 and my two sisters were 14 and 10. So I think what we've been really lucky in the sense that we're such a close family that we've all grown up together and with the business. So I think keeping it open and honest with each other has been the biggest learning curve as well, because working with family it's not easy, but it is so rewarding as well. You know, like not many people can say they get to see their sister and their parents every single day, and it's pretty good. Like 99% of the time, you know, every family has their little
challenges and
100%
and icky bits.
It's how you address them. And I think we because we've worked together for so long as well, you just find your groove. So yeah.
Do you guys find it, do you find that you're closer as a family? Because we've played a little trailer intro for you guys and people have an idea, but what they don't know is, do you get closer as a family being in business together?
I think so. Yeah, I think so, because I think if you don't as well, it's not going to end up being successful, because you are with these people Monday to Friday. You know, I'm in the office from 8 a.m. So I think you find your way of making it work best. And even if there's something that, say, mum and I don't agree with, I'm upstairs and mum's downstairs, and we just take a breather and then we'll come back and we'll discuss it. And I think that's the biggest solution for us as well, because like having a child, every age comes with a challenge. With having a family business and working so close to each other, every stage has a challenge. So it's just finding your feet and finding a solution around that when you are so close as well, because you can butt heads. But, like my sister's my best friend. And then me and Dad are in sales together, and then Mum and Lisa are in the customer service financials together. So you come together, and sometimes you forget that you're family, and you're put your business hat on, but then you always have to just remember, you are a family, you love each other, and that's really important as well. So there's always a challenge, and it's just how you handle that challenge.
The way that you started this business was so incredible. We were talking about that before we were recording a few days ago, and you were telling me about how it started, and I have such profound respect for the ethics and the way that it started. People who don't know the story, I want to know exactly what that was. I want to know from you. How did it start? How did your father have the idea? How did you guys grow into Chef Med?
Yes.
And all that stuff.
Yep. So Dad has been in the industry around 40 years. So he worked for a lot of other medical companies prior to starting Chef Med. And one of the companies he worked for was a company called Downs Distributors, who actually is no longer around. And he met a guy named Alan while he was working for Downs. Alan's from the UK.
Oh, okay.
So they kept their friendship along the way. And Dad ended up leaving Downs for one reason or another, and he went to another medical company. And it just didn't work the way that he wanted to, and the travel was just too much with having 3 little girls at home. So he was like, what am I going to do? And Alan happened to be over from the UK visiting, and they got drunk one night on red wine and decided to start Chef Med New Zealand. So after 12 months of having Chef Med New Zealand alongside Chef Med UK, Mum and Dad worked so hard, and they brought the rights to own it themselves. But in between all of this, we sold our house, we sold everything, and we lived in the most disgusting rental that you can imagine. Shag pole carpet, every room had different wallpaper. I don't even know how we would fit in the shower, to be honest. Thinking back now, it was so tiny. We started with a computer in the dining room and dial-up internet. 25 years ago, none of us could use the phone, and my sister was a teenager at the time and hated that. And it just went strength to strength. Dad worked 3 jobs. He would pack supermarket shelves at 3 a.m, and then he'd come home and he'd get changed, and he would go and fit roof racks with one of my cousins, and then he'd come home at midday and he would put on a suit and a tie, and he was going out to the hospitals and making a name for himself, while Mum was at home raising us 3 girls, doing the customer service, doing the finances, running a house. So,
it's crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I still can't get over how one man can do 3 different jobs.
Incredible. Some nights he would work till midnight because our suppliers are overseas. So everything we bring in it's Germany or the UK or France. So he'd be staying up and on the phone or on emails to them to make sure that he was getting everything he needed, and then going to sleep for a couple of hours and starting again. Thankfully, because of all of his hard work, it didn't last forever.
Yeah, that is the happy news, I think.
Yes.
It actually did pay off.
Yes, and I think he wanted it. He wanted it so much, and so did Mum, that it was like failure just wasn't an option. So when you want it that much and you do have children to feed and bills to pay, there's not really much that you wouldn't do.
There's no time to think.
No, there's not. And you do have to put egos aside, and you just have to step outside your comfort zone. And I think, we still do that to this day. But, hats off to them. I'm so lucky to have parents that have also put in, like, their work ethic has just been incredible. And I'm really lucky that we've grown up with that and seen that and been part of it, you know, because I was 12 when they started this. So 25 years later, and now look where I'm sitting, you know. It's pretty cool that Dad's given us and Mum has given us this opportunity.
It's not as often that you hear such a beautiful story, 25 years of a family business, a niche medical market, without a venture capitalist. Did you have any, you didn't have any investors at the start? Like, how did you fund, I suppose...
We sold our family home. We sold our family home and we moved, and we just, you know, made do, I guess. And I think that's the one big thing that can also never be taken away from them, is they did this themselves. They worked so hard for it, and there was no one that came in and said, hey, I'll give you $50,000 to do this and I'll take, 25% shares. It still to this day is solely owned by Mum and by Dad.
Wow.
Which is amazing. So
full ownership.
Full ownership. Full ownership.
Wow.
We get the phone calls every now and then, oh, can we buy the business?
Really? Do you?
Yep, quite a bit. And Mum and Dad are so respectful in the sense that they'll sit my sister and I down and they'll say, what do you guys think about this? And we will bounce off our ideas, and they always respect what we say, and they lead with our decision as a collective as well, because, everyone has their part in the business and everyone's just as important as each other. So, everyone's got a role to play. So by one person making that decision, it affects everybody else. But still very proudly 100% owned, like New Zealand owned and operated by my parents.
I wonder if that's like a special thing. Was it like a special case? I don't know. There's all sorts of stories out there with people starting a business and having to have like a VC behind them or an investor, and then other businesses just roll off like you guys. What is it do you think really made you guys stand out, that made you last that long, like 25 years?
I think, to be completely fair, my dad is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to this industry, in a sense of he's been at the start of everything, when the first fat grafting procedures were done for removing fat from one part of your body and placing it into another part. He's been there from the get-go. He's seen the start, he's seen the failures, he's read all the clinical papers. So I think his knowledge has been really at the forefront of how successful we are. And then my mum is she is the backbone of the business. Without Dad, without Mum, there's no Dad. So they work collectively together to create that success. And 25 years ago there wasn't social media, there wasn't like podcasts like there is today.
How do you get the word out?
So Dad sort of had a good name in the industry anyway because of that knowledge. But I think as obviously years go on, and then the younger generation, like my sister and myself, step into the business, we have fresh ideas come in, because of the niche market. I don't really put anything on like Instagram or Facebook, but I have a LinkedIn, and that's a really great tool to reach the professional side of this. I think
it's like an interesting way of marketing.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. And I think if COVID really taught us anything, is using technology to our advantage, jumping on those meetings, sending out the emails, finding as much information you can and sending that out to people. And, we've just launched a new product. So doing the marketing around that, you've got to also be very careful in this industry that you don't overstep your mark and do it the wrong way in the sense that then you put damage on the product. So there is a fine line on the sort of marketing you can do, because I can't just go and sell to, Joe Blog on the street. It's to surgeons, it's to nurses, it's to healthcare professionals. So yeah, it's a balancing act, to say the least.
Because you still have to get your name out there.
Yes.
So which brings me to the marketing.
Yes.
Like, it's so fascinating to look at marketing 25 years ago, and you just talked about how your father is like a walking encyclopedia.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was a bit of a asset to the business. And now, how is that? And our people who listen to this podcast are entrepreneurs, business leaders and founders, and they're looking for insights and tips on how do you, and I know a number of business owners who have those questions that when we discuss them together, how do you market yourself? And so how do you guys market in an industry like you, in a sector like yours?
Yeah, that's a good question, just purely because of the type of business that we do run. Like I've mentioned, the LinkedIn is really good for us, but actually just going around and introducing ourselves. We go to conferences. I've just recently done the Plastic Nurses Symposium just at the Pullman. We have the Plastic Surgeons Conference coming up as well, which we go to every year. Like the Plastic Nurses Symposium has been going, I think it's 20 years now. Would have been 22, but unfortunately we had the COVID lockdowns. And we are the original exhibitor there. We had to give a speech because we've been there from day dot. So conferences are a really good way for us to get our name out and to attend these for ChefMed. Going in and seeing people. And
do you find yourself that you often bringing people that you've never met before? Like the cold calling of the marketing world?
Do you know, I don't actually do cold calling myself.
So lucky.
I don't like it, and I hate it being done to me. So I try to avoid it. Emails is a really good tool for us because I think in this sort of industry as well, nurses are busy, surgeons are busy. Sometimes it's so chaotic in the operating theatres that they don't just get a chance to actually have 2 minutes on the phone. So emails are a really good tool in that sense. Zoom meetings, educating is a really big part of our business too, which also gets our name out there. I can do education sessions. I'm actually doing one on Thursday in Hamilton. So doing a couple of hours rolling is really good. Small groups, 8 to 10 for 20 to 30 minutes. You're teaching them about the products that you can offer. Right. And not only that, I can do like surgical instruments, and I'm teaching them something they've never been taught before, even in nursing school, or you don't sometimes learn what's the difference between something silver, something black, and something gold, and why there's those differences. So I think it's finding your point of difference as well.
Was it easy to find your point of difference for you guys?
Yes. Our biggest point of difference is quality. So
I remember you talking about that.
Yes.
Like unbeatable service standards.
It's super important. I think it lacks these days service. I think customer service lacks.
Why do you think so? Why is it so bad at present? Is it getting worse, or?
I feel like it is, in the sense, like, I think phones have also made people lazy because it's easy to sit and just do the things on your phone, and sometimes it's hard to actually have a conversation with people. But I started, in retail at 16, and it was always sir, ma'am, how can I help you? You don't even get that when you walk into a shop these days. You're lucky if you get a hello. So I think it does lack in that sense, and our biggest point of difference is quality. I'm never going to just do something cheap. that could be my daughter or one of them on the operating table. I want the best for that patient. So, yeah, we as a family and as a business are very particular about that. And we know where everything comes from. And even just in work, we get surgical instruments come in, we check them. We check everything before it goes out to our clients. So there's the quality aspect of that, quality control. So because we stand behind our brand, we stand behind the Chef Med name, and it's really important to us. So I can't see that dropping anytime soon. And hopefully another 25 years, we'll still be doing the same thing with the same standards, if not better. There's always room for improvement. So, yeah.
In terms of where do you guys sit in the market, in terms of like the big players, are you considered a big player, a small player? Where are you at with this game?
We're definitely a smaller player in a really big industry. When it comes to the specialties that we really, really specialise in, we are number one in the market for, say, your liposuction, your fat grafting, your plastic surgery side of equipment. So your breast reconstruction for cancer patients, your liposuction cannulas. There's not really much we can't do when it becomes that side of the industry.
Right.
But then you're getting into your other industries of your ear, nose and throat, your laparoscopic, your general. We can do that stuff. We absolutely can, and we'll always give you really great instruments. But there are bigger players than us out there. There's Johnson & Johnson as well. They're a big player.
Right.
They've got some stuff in the industry down here. We're never going to be able to compete with them. And
if you think about the size, like how big are they, and where do you see? It's like Mars and Earth.
Very much like that. So we're a team of 5.
Right. Okay.
And Johnson & Johnson is thousands.
Right.
So
interesting. But
they're worldwide.
But they offer all sorts of things.
Yeah, they do.
All sorts of products.
And they've there's other players as well in this industry that are amongst them that are also just as big, and we won't get to that. And to be honest, I don't want to get to that because I don't want to be another number.
Do you want to grow into those big companies? Like, is that the vision, or
I think
you're happy to?
I would like to stay
niche.
the small to medium size that we are. Stay niche, stay without just being numbers. We want to really care about our clients. I don't want them to feel like they are also another number. I want them to feel like we have a really good relationship. I think that's really important, and that is one of our differences as well. But I will always give them a run for their money on competing against them. And I have, one thing is against those companies.
Contracts,
which is
customers.
Yeah.
People have picked you over the other competitors, like the larger players. Yeah.
And same as with us, we haven't been picked, and that's fine. That's business. But I'll always strive for more. I'll learn from it and then do better next time.
Right.
So,
in terms of revenue, in terms of sales, where do you guys sit in the grand scheme of things, and how does it compare to, 10 years ago? Do you seen a marked increase, growth in that sense? Yeah,
there's definitely been an increase. But, there's been challenges along the way of that as well.
COVID being one?
Well, yeah, definitely COVID being one. We were really lucky, to be fair, that we were an essential business, so we could keep operating and we could keep the money coming in and being paid. So, we're really blessed in that sense. I don't want to be so big that I lose sight of what Chef Med is and was and why it was started. But I would like to also grow the business that we can pass it on to the next generation in a really good, healthy, happy state. But yeah, I just think it's important to stay humble through it as well. So yeah.
Quick one. Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. So I've got some notes here around actionable takeaways for entrepreneurs. So, do you want to dominate this market?
Yes. 1,000% yes. I've been in Chef Me for quite some time now. So I started off like at the very bottom and I've worked my way up. And I came in with some goals. And one of them I've achieved, and there's another one that I want to achieve. I'm not quite there yet, but I think we will get there. And I'm quite a competitive person. So if I set my mind to something and I want to do something, I will achieve that something. Even if there's hurdles along the way, and there's always going to be hurdles, you just adapt to them and work around them.
Yeah.
So yes is the answer.
Do you want to dominate? You're about to dominate. So in terms of competitors, you were talked about the point of difference and how do you position and frame your offering. And what about selling premium price products in a cheap commodity market? How do you get over that hurdle?
Definitely another stage with another challenge, but my answer to people that do say that to me is, but I can get it from this company.
Why would I have to pay that much money?
Cheaper, but why are you double the price? Well, do you want me to tell you the differences? Like, I can list you the differences, and if someone says, well, I'm going to go with this because I'm going to get that. Okay, well, why? Why are you going to do that when I can give you something that's going to last 10 times longer? So, you might buy a needle holder, for example, and you might have that for 6 months because it is a bit cheaper, but then I might sell you a needle holder that's twice the price, but it can last you 5 to 10 years. So would you rather something that's going to last you 5 to 10 years, or would you rather something that you're going to have to replace in 6 months and you're just going to have to buy time and time again? So I always sort of turn back and I say, well, compared to what? What are you actually comparing me to? So then I can help you understand more as well about my products and my quality and what I can offer you. So I think for me, this isn't just a job. This is my career, this is my life, and yes, I'm invested in it a lot more because it is a family company. It's just, it is, you find your way around it, I guess.
Yeah. But the key point, though, is what I like when you were expressing it and describing it is, how do you how do you sell a quality product with a premium price versus selling that is the equivalent but, very low cost? And, people listening going, okay, well, they've got different products they're trying to offer, or a service they're trying to offer. And what I gather from you is you explain the long-term benefits in terms of, like, if this is going to last you way longer.
Correct.
So you can go ahead and buy the cheap product from XYZ country.
Yes.
Or you could invest in a different product from a different country and company, and
it's going to last you 10 times longer.
And you're going to rely on it knowing it's not going to break down while you're in theatre.
Yes. And I think that's the big thing. And like that's where the quality kicks in, and that's where the fact of I see the patient as like a family member, so
yeah, exactly.
So for us, we stand behind that product. That is our big difference as well. It's not something that if, say, it breaks in 6 months, which it won't or it shouldn't, there will be a reason behind that as well, and that's where the education comes in, because every surgical instrument has a different function. So you might have a pair of scissors, but that pair of scissors has a different function to this pair of scissors. So it's learning what's used for which procedure. And like I always say to people as well, if you look after it, it'll look after you. There's a way to also look after your surgical instruments to get longevity out of it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that again reverts back to education, and that's where...
Is it quite common to educate in the surgical space, to educate your, I suppose, your clients on how you could use the products?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it kind of like a given, like you need to do that, or?
Some people don't want it, and a lot of people do. Like a lot of people do come to you with open arms about that. We have been trained by our German manufacturers, so we're lucky enough that we have that skill set. And being a small family-owned business, it's easy to bounce ideas off each other and do the training with each other, and you're not just another number. So you can offer that to your clients. I think it's become more wanted as a service now, and I don't know too many other companies that do actually do that, unless it's a large capital item that has been purchased and they have to do training on that, like one of the surgical robots, or like an aspirator, or you have to do training on that. But when it comes to surgical instruments, I don't know if many people do that. So
it's an interesting subject, because you recently also were able to accomplish a big goal in terms of having your company be, I suppose, the go-to company
yes,
for products and things through the government. So tell me, I'm not going to give that away. You tell us what's been happening, because that's really exciting, and I want to get into the ins and the outs of how difficult that was and what it really means for your company. It's really fascinating to know that.
Yeah, so we have officially signed on to be suppliers into all of Health New Zealand with Pharmac. So that's sort of a new sort of avenue that, yes, we had to go down, and that was a lot of learning.
Yeah. It's a big job.
Huge. It has taken me 4 years.
To give people
4 years.
Give people a bit of context who have maybe got no idea what Pharmac is. And maybe just maybe a bit of back to basics.
So Pharmac is your company or your government collective that runs the pharmaceutical and approval side of the market in New Zealand, and they branched out into the surgical instrument and consumable side. So what it is that they are trying to help the DHBs or Health New Zealand's now save money, in the sense of once you're on contract with them, you are locked into that price, which is great for the hospitals. And in fairness, it's actually really great for the businesses as well, in the sense that you're on the schedule. They can purchase off you. It does make life easier, but to get to that stage, it's really involved. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of spreadsheets. When I originally started this back in 2021, I think it was, I had 6 weeks. And so we had sort of like the COVID era still sort of happening. I had 6 weeks, and it was in end of November through to December, and everyone's finishing up for the year, and you had to list everything. I got to, I think it was 28,000 items that I put in there that I listed.
This is how much you guys, how many items you guys offer?
We have got more.
You've got heaps. 28,000.
28,000 items
Goodness.
I listed in there.
Wow.
And just over the period of time, it has been culled down, and we are just at over 2,000 items. And originally it was everything. You list everything on there, and anything that's a surgical implant, surgical or medical tool or a surgical implant. So I had to we do facial implants and everything for like reconstruction, calf implants, pec implants, glute implants for recon, and so I had to list all of that. Then I had the surgical and medical tools. So then you've got to list that. Everything's got a different category. Then you have to make sure that you do your pricing so that you're not pricing yourself out of the market, but you're also not underselling yourself, because these prices have to stay this for a period of time. So that's changed over the years, and what it's come down to is what has been supplied into the hospitals over the last 18 to 24 months. So I just kept doing the paperwork, kept updating it. Right. I had a contracts manager with Pharmac, and we finally got there. It's huge. It's just anyone that has dealt with that side of the paperwork, it can be exhausting. It can be a headache.
So what made Pharmac pick you guys? What in a nutshell? I
think really what it comes down to is that we have been a consistent supplier into the hospitals. Our surgical instruments, our liposuction machines, our implants have been used for such a substantial amount of time that we both had to work with each other.
Right.
I think the hardest thing with this is that, like, it goes back to the quality side of things. We can only put on there what's happened in the last 18 to 24 months, but our surgical instruments will last longer than that. So stuff that's been used for the last 5 to 10 years isn't listed on that. That made it hard, because originally what we were told was if it's not on the schedule, it's not going to be able to be purchased. But that has changed, thankfully. So it just has to be on the GS1 or the HSC system, which is the new system that's out. So
yep.
It's another system. So it was almost like triple the work. But at the end of the day, we got there.
Yep.
My sister and I have done, I'm going to toot my own horn, we've done a brilliant job in getting it.
Toot it away.
We've done a brilliant job at getting it to this stage. It went live on the 1st of June. So here we go.
Wow, well done.
Yes.
It's a big feat, right?
Big feat. I mean, 4 years. It's a long time. It's a long time. It's a lot of paperwork while still doing my everyday job as well, managing sales and staff and managing clients while doing this in the background.
Does this mean, what does it really mean in terms of revenue and the company? Like, there's it means for a lot of things, like credibility. Does it mean anything in terms of sales, revenue, consistency, like handling that contract? Is a really good thing for your company, but what does that really mean?
I think you can probably see it as like a positive and almost a negative. A positive in the sense, yes, it does give you the credibility as being, a really solid supply company, one that's being trusted by the Pharmac brand, and that's implemented within all of the hospitals. But a negative sense in a way that if things didn't get listed, some people probably won't purchase because it's not on the Pharmac schedule, but it could be listed on the HSC schedule, which is a whole nother ballgame. And then we also have to lock our prices in. So
you can't increase your prices?
No. So they're locked now.
Forever? Do they get locked?
So currently,
can you increase?
I've done pretty well at the contract negotiating, actually.
Oh, good job.
So we can do 12 months, and I got currency put in there as well, just due to obviously how crazy the markets are. And you've got Donald Trump that puts tariffs on things and then crashes the market. And we pretty much don't buy anything within New Zealand. Everything comes from overseas, so we've got to be smart about it in that sense. So I've got a 12-month stipulation in there that about pricing. Ideally it has to be 2 years, but if something is major, then I obviously go to my contracts manager, and you just explain that, and then they make a decision, and you have to just roll with it. But I think I choose to make it positive more than anything, because it's a great topic of conversation to be going into clients and saying, hey, we're actually on the Farmax schedule. This is going to make it really easy for you to purchase when you're ready. If you need anything from me, just sing out, but all the paperwork is done. So it has been really beneficial in that sense of the word, that the paperwork is done. The pricing just comes through. We don't have to keep going back and saying, hey guys, your pricing is incorrect. And sometimes it's good to be held accountable as well, So I send reports on a quarterly basis, and it's good to have constructive feedback as well. So
quick one, Mina here. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. One thing that you can do for me is to please hit the subscribe button below. I promise you that if you hit subscribe, I'm going to work hard to make sure that my episodes are really good, that will get better and better. So, do we have a deal? Okay, back to the episode. You mentioned two things, negotiation and tariffs. So how is tariffs? Yeah.
Yes.
For people who are listening, you're making facial expressions.
Yes. So tariffs, I don't think we've seen everything just yet. I think that's coming. We've only had one company so far, one manufacturing company in America so far, that has put a 5% tariff on. But majority of our instruments are made in Germany, but we've only got a handful of suppliers that we get things from America from. So it goes from Germany to America, America to us. So you can't bypass that, because it is that company in America, it is their item. They have had it manufactured in Germany. We can't bypass that. It has to go to them and then come to us. So, for a liposuction machine, for example, they might have a component made in China or wherever else he's put tariffs on, and then that's fitted into the machine. Then the machine is sent to us from America. That is where the tariffs can hurt us.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
So, yeah, interesting how I didn't really think about a product can go to many different countries to be put together.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and components.
So if it touches in each country, it was going to have that added tariff, added tax, and it's just going to increase the price.
Yes, correct. And I mean, we always try to do the best for our clients and keep the prices as fair as possible, but some things actually are out of your control, and some things you just can't absorb, and nor should you either, because you don't want to hurt yourself at the end of the day either, and make it worse for yourself. Sometimes I just say to clients, look, how about I split it with you? I'll go 50-50 with you. How does that work? And they'll say, oh, that's great,
What, in terms of the cost? Or?
The price difference. If there is that tariff and it is quite, it could be substantial, I say, look, what about 50-50? Would that be, a solution for you? And,
Does it work?
Yeah, it has so far.
Is this part of your negotiation skills? Sounds like you're pretty good at negotiation. So please give us someone listening going, I really would love a few tips about how do you negotiate and get a good deal.
I think for me, I'm quite an honest person when it comes to our products as well. I don't think lying around a product is a good thing. I think just being open and honest with it as well will get you further. Then especially if you say it does this but it actually doesn't, Yeah.
So honesty would be
yeah,
one.
I think honesty is really, really a big thing. Listening to what they want and finding a solution, and then going back with what you think might even be better. You know, explaining is a big one. You know, I recently just had to do that with my contracts manager. I just had to explain the reasons behind it as well, and then they went away and go, oh, actually, it's going to cost us more money, so why don't we do it this way? So yeah, explaining the reasoning behind it as well. Yeah, and then finding your middle ground. You know, you just find your middle ground around it. Luckily, I don't have to negotiate too often, but if I do...
What has been the toughest negotiation situations you've been in, and you actually got a good deal out of that? I mean, you may not know.
That's a good one, actually, to sort of think off the top of my head.
We can come back to it.
Yeah, I think because there's after so long as well, it's kind of hard to find one instance where that stands out the most. I think I definitely know it's happened.
You just can't remember.
But taking that straight away, yeah.
It's good reflection.
It is really good reflection, actually. But there will be something to do with one of our machines that we sell into the hospitals.
Yeah.
Because it's big items.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, liposuction. Sorry for fat grafting for liposuction procedures. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's probably like a power-assisted liposuction machine that we've had, and to sort of sweeten the deal, it's how about I give you a sterilization tray for free?
Oh, wow.
You know,
okay.
like, because that's a couple of grand. So,
okay.
You know, and they're like, oh, that's such a great idea, because they require it. So if you buy this, how about I give you X? Done. You know, something like that is really big for you and them, because sometimes they don't have that one particular product as well. So if you think about it long term, it's going to benefit both of you. So I've got these incredible sterilization trays they're like my little baby. You have that, because if you see how it works, you're going to come back for more. So, you know, just you find something that will also benefit you long term.
And you can really apply that in many different ways.
Yes.
In business.
Yes.
Whether you're selling a liposuction machine or another kind of product. It's the sense of finding middle ground and
and working with them,
adding value and working. Yeah. Finding out what they really want and what they really need, and try and offer that, and then some more. Yeah,
absolutely. And keeping up with that service as well. You know, just because they've brought it off you once, don't stop there.
Right.
Keep that relationship going. I think some people get a sense like, cool, you know, that's great, I've done this, and but don't let it stop there.
Yeah.
You know, carry that relationship forward, and that's what it is. It's a relationship.
How do you...
It's a friendship sometimes.
In terms of the growth and scaling, taking you back to 25 years ago when your father and your mother and all of you guys were working to grow this business, what challenges was it? What was it difficult about growing it to where it is today? Like, sometimes people explain the business as there's a ceiling and we just can't get over it. And of course you need to have the right people employed, the right the what do you call them, business coach, advisors. Like, I would love for you to go through that, like, in terms of, we started, we grew it, and then we found like this was our issue, and we couldn't find a way around that, but we had to get this person to give us advice, and then that was specific advice really helped us to, that kind of thing. I wonder if you can maybe recall, since you were a little bit young.
I was going to say
back in the day.
I was going to say I think that's sort of like a hard question to answer, in the sense that I was 12, when Mum and Dad did start this, and yes, I've grown with it. I'm in the business. I've been in the business for many years now. I'm sure like they've definitely leaned on people. Some of their friends own companies as well. So I've worked for other companies as well and seen how they do things, and so I'll give Mum and Dad like, oh hey, what about this, and they listen and they take it on board. Do
you remember if they had a specific advisor that really made a difference in their lives, or
no,
a specific person that they had to speak to, because you don't know what you don't know in business?
Yeah, and I think like having started it with Chef Med Trade in the UK, and he'd been in business for a couple of years, I think that really helped with the ins and outs of everything. But in all honesty, they've done everything themselves. They have just been so determined and persevered through all of the hurdles, and it is sometimes literally like climbing a mountain that you're never going to get to. You're never going to reach the peak. And in this job, you're constantly learning as well. It's like an apprenticeship almost in this sort of industry, in this sort of job. But yeah, I think they've probably spoken to someone. I'm sure they would.
I'm sure if I have a chat with your father, he will tell me.
But in all honesty, they've pretty much really completed this on their own. They've done so incredible, and I'm so proud of them. And we had such an awesome childhood, and we have benefited so much from the company. We've been so lucky that they should just be so proud of themselves, and to be able to say that they've done it on their own. No one can take that away from them. And it's absolutely something that I aspire to, like, with them every day. I'm just like, you guys are just amazing, and to do it with your family and allow your children to come in and give you fresh ideas and help you along the way it's a challenge within itself, and it's pretty cool. So, even my kids will come in and during school holidays, because they're almost 16, so they'll come in during school holidays and help out and earn some money, and so there we've got 3 generations in. But yeah, I would say they have, but in all honesty, I can't really give you a definitive answer.
That's okay. Why? What's the real why behind this project and this business?
Family. I think the real big thing behind this is Dad's really good at what he does, so he has channeled that into something really positive for himself. And Mum is really good at what she does, and she's done the same thing. Channeled that into a really positive thing for herself and the family. But the biggest reason why is because that could be one of us on the table, and we want the best outcome possible for that patient on the table, and for the surgeon with the instruments that are in their hands, because they need to do a good job too. So
has that been a personal story that you guys have gone through, or?
Like a long time ago I got sick and like really, really ill, and I had a lot of after effects. I had meningococcal septicemia C, and I was in intensive care, and I was dying. I had a stroke, I had pneumonia, I had heart failure, I had a chronic fatigue syndrome. I had the list just went on and on and on. And Mum was like, right, that's it. We move home. We move the business home. Sam can't do anything for 6 months. And that was one of the bigger, that is a reason why as well. Like, we've been so lucky too to be able to have that ability to have this at home if we need to, you know.
You mean the business at home?
We can move at home. We pick up a phone. We use a laptop. We, you know, like the big reason why is us as family. You know, both my daughters have had surgery, and we're lucky. I'm so lucky that Dad's created friendships with these surgeons. He can pick the phone up and ring them and ask for their help and advice. And, you know, my nephew, he got sick as a little one, and, you know, he needed his tonsils out and his adenoids removed. And, you know, they are the reason, like our children now, my 3 daughters, my nephew, they are now the reason why we keep going as well and striving for more.
It'd be quite crazy to go through that meningococcal infection.
Well, I think it was worse for everybody else, because when you're in it, like I was pretty much unconscious. But I think it was more worse for everybody else. And
you know, like it was such a deadly infection, and it must be a real profound time in your family's life, because it kind of shakes. Like if one family member goes to hospital, everything really shifts. The whole dynamic of the family shifts.
Yes.
And so how did that get turned around in terms of you getting better, and how did that feel?
Do you know, it was actually my mum that saved my life, because thankfully, like, she was just there for me by my side the entire time, and just I suppose motherly instincts just, you know, took over, and she was like, right, we're getting you into hospital, and rang the ambulance. And my older sister, like, I think she took like 8 Baroccas or something to stay awake, and was just like, just at my side. And and it is just because of us being such a close family that, you know, it was just sheer strength and willpower and perseverance. And it wasn't easy, because, you know, there's like silent sort of effects with things like that. You know, when I had after having a minor stroke, I had a bit of memory loss, and you know, my parents were always there to, you know, support me through everything. And yeah, that's where this has come in amazingly, like, is that we are such a close family. We do work together. We can get through these challenges. So, and that's where having Chef Med has benefited us all. You know, Mum could come home and look after me. You know, Dad can pick and choose when he can travel now, if, you know, there's something he wants to do, or he doesn't want to do, you know, a 6 a.m. flight anymore, or, you know, they can pick and choose things. And, you know, it's benefited us all. But for something like that, you know, we didn't have to quit our jobs. We didn't have to put in for sick leave. We didn't have to explain the scenario to a boss, or, you know, so we're really, really lucky in that sense. But then on the other hand, being in this industry, it's really hard when it's taken out of your control and you can't actually do anything. You know, I'm lying on a bed nearly dying, and they can't fix it with all of the contacts they have, with all the knowledge that Dad has. He can't fix it. So, you know, every stage has a challenge, and that was a real challenge back then. So yeah, just but hey, look, I'm here today, so
thank God.
Didn't think it would happen, but
so you would have been the reason why this has all happened.
We're here today. Well, I'd love to say that, but there's no way. Mum and Dad, definitely 100%.
You've already claimed your fame with the Pharmac situation.
Yeah, I will absolutely take that. That was hard work. That was very, very, very
hard work.
Stressful.
Yes.
And hard work, and long days, and cross eyes, and sore eyes, and so but all of the success to this very day is collectively as a family, but mainly it comes down to Mum and Dad's sheer strength, perseverance, strong will, and determination, you know, like, so it's been really great seeing these ethics and
living with it, learning them.
100%. And I just hope that I can install that in my 3 daughters, you know. So if I can take anything away, is hopefully
Very cool.
that.
Very cool.
So yeah, we've been lucky. We've been hard work. Yes, it might not be luck because we've created it ourselves, but you know, if you want it,
Yep.
go get it.
Where do you see yourself? What's next for Chef Med?
Another 25 years. Fingers crossed. Yeah, ideally I would like to have my parents maybe step out a little bit more and just them have, you know, they gave us such a wonderful childhood that I'd love to really give them a really incredible retirement. So I would love for Chef Med to be 50 years old. You know, that's a real goal. Definitely be getting to 30. You know, you've got to also learn to adapt in this because you know, the economy changes all the time and throws challenges at you. So you just have to work around that. But yeah, ideally to another 25 years, and mum and dad hopefully sitting on an island having a cocktail and relaxing, and me doing the hard work for them. That would be the ideal situation. And keep everyone happy, you know. One of my daughters is thinking she wouldn't mind being a surgeon, so how cool would that be if I can supply my daughter with her surgical instruments for her to operate? You know, how neat would that be? So that would be a pretty cool dream. So yeah.
Well, I hope it comes true.
Yeah, she's doing good at science so far, so fingers are crossed.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Samantha.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic to have you learn about your story, about Chef Med, about your journey. And it's profound and impactful, and all the best to you guys.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully this has helped someone out there, but
I'm sure it has.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Thank you. It's been really lovely. Really nice to meet you too.
Likewise.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah.